joy givers, anyone looking for an infusion of joy, you are at the right place. My name is Deb McGregor. I am the host of your Summer Infusion of Joy series. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome to our show, Carrie Brusven. I think I got that right, Carrie, of Gathered. I did pretty good, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh my God. Well, and it's actually a Norwegian name, but I was thinking it had this German umlaut. So, I mean, what do I know, right? Oh my gosh. Well, welcome. I am so thrilled that you're here. You are with Gathered, and I think it would be so appropriate to start with, what is Gathered?
Sure. Well, Gathered is a boutique rental company. So 10 years ago, I had been kind of dabbling in some event decor and helping set up events, and people were kind of encouraging me, like, hey, you should do this for real and actually get paid for it. And so I kind of started looking around and event coordinating sounds terrible to me. I don't think that sounds fun at all. But there were a couple of companies doing these specialty rental things on the coast. There were a couple in California, one in Texas, a couple on the East Coast, and they were renting out vintage items, vintage sofas, vintage chairs, beautiful handmade rugs, and things like that. And I thought, that sounds interesting. I think I like that. And the entire industry was brand new. It had only been 2 years since the industry as a whole had been started. And there were only a handful of companies doing that kind of thing around the country. And I'm always kind of into what's new. What has nobody done before? And there was nothing like it anywhere. There was one company in Minneapolis, and that was the only company close to us. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. I think I like that. And I really like buying furniture. So I kind of found an excuse for it. We have a saying in our industry that it's not hoarding if you rent it.
Oh.
So words to live by for us. So we basically have a giant collection of furniture and decor that we rent out for special events. So we do a lot of weddings. We do birthday parties, anniversary parties, corporate holiday parties, employee appreciation parties, family reunions, whatever it might be. And we kind of bring the magic. We bring the setting. We set the scene, that kind of stuff. So,
well, we're not just talking about like, oh, let's just put a couple things here. You literally transform a space. I don't know how much people can see even behind you, but literally you come in and completely transform a space. Like you literally turn it into something that doesn't even look like what it looked like before.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, how do you start with a vision for these things?
Listening is the first thing that I do. I think it's super important. The very first thing when we connect with somebody is just active listening to what it is that they want, what are their struggles, what are they trying to achieve, and what is their vision, and then processing all of that. And okay, sounds like you are trying to create a modern boho chic that's more on the modern side, a little bit earthy, maybe a little bit of global touch, or whatever it is that they're telling me. And really the magic piece for me is to asking them to describe the atmosphere, the mood that they're trying to create, and then what their style vibes are. And if they can give me 5 or 6 adjectives to describe all of that, then I can kind of piece all of that together and think, okay, we need this piece over here. We need the Elton sofa, and we need the Foster rug. And what if we added this and that? And we just start kind of building and watching their facial reactions and body language. And we can kind of tell, okay, that hit the mark, or that wasn't quite it. So then it's going to be this thing. And then when you get the right pieces together, their faces just light up and they get all excited. And it's like, yep, okay, we got that one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and how do you, Oh my gosh, like as you're talking about putting these things together, so when people come into you, do they say, oh geez, I want this event, or oh geez, I want this, and you kind of have this thought, like how does that piece of it work, Carrie?
So you mean like how do they pick out which pieces, or
Yeah, like do most people come in with at least some idea, or do they like because I'm the person that would walk in and go, Carrie, take it away. I have absolutely no idea where I'm going. Like what does that look like?
yeah, really, it goes both ways. Some people come in and they know exactly what they want, and they have a very clear vision of what they want, and it's just, oh, you want that one? Yep, here it is. Is that the one? Yep. Okay, great. And then, oh, you wanted? Yep, we got that one. And yes or no, like, oh, that's booked, or yep, that's available. And some people have no idea whatsoever, and it's like, okay, so anything that you've got your eye on so far? And well, no. You know what your color palette is? No. Okay. Do you like more vintage? Do you like more modern? Do you like mid-century? Well, I don't know. Like, okay. I'm just going to start pulling things out and we'll see what you think. And then that's when the warehouse really gets torn apart and it's carrying, okay, how about this one? And then how about that one? And see how it changes when we put this rug in. And, just somewhere along the way, things start clicking for them. And then you find one piece that they really love. And then you start building onto that. And okay, great, we love that one. Now that tells me something that you didn't even know about your style. You like this and not that. You like this and not that. And then we can kind of get those pieces that speak the same language and put them together. So it's one piece is all it takes really to like, okay, now I know what you want. So
Yes. Well, and isn't that the truth for any type of person in design work? It's ultimately at some deep level they do know what they want, but they don't know necessarily how to describe her. But then when you find that, oh yeah, well that's it, that's exactly what I want, they just couldn't necessarily bring that out, right?
What exactly their style is probably not something they really necessarily done before. So
Right.
that's our job, is to kind of pull that out of them when they didn't even know how to say it before. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Become a specialty here is figuring out what you don't even know about yourself yet.
Well, and it's so interesting, it's fascinating to me when I went through your everything that you've got and you took me through your entire area and space, and that wasn't even the stuff that was still already packed in the trucks from the weekend.
Right.
I was like, okay, I've never seen so many sofas and couches and chairs in a space other than a furniture store. Like you truly have colors, styles, like all of the above, even to the lights that hang down. It's
Yep.
not just the furniture, even the light. You guys actually go in and transform the lights in a space.
Right. Yep. We kind of floor to ceiling, do the whole thing, everything in between. So
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So talk to me about, I know a lot of people are, because I'm like, I've sort of in the fantasy world, oh, this is so great. It sounds so fun and pretty and da 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 da.
yep.
But we need you to get us a little peek behind the curtain because we know there's more to the story. So talk to us about that piece of Gathered.
Yeah. Well, I think I definitely had that impression, when I first started the job too, that, oh, this will be great. I'll have all this pretty stuff and I'll show it to people and then they'll come and pick it up and bring it back. And we'll never have to actually go to an event. Our weekends will be free. It'll be so fun. And that is not the case at all. We learned that pretty fast. So, the weekends are tied up all the time, evenings, meeting with clients in the evenings, weekend events. And it's like, I would say we're basically glorified furniture movers is what we are. Like, yes, what we're moving is pretty and we get to do the pretty planning meeting and everything, but that's like this little tiny part of it. And the rest of the time we are sweaty and we're wearing our tennis shoes with paint all over them and clothes with holes in them because we ripped it on that corner of that table again for the 5th time this week, and fingernails broken off and whatnot. And it's like, well, I got 4 hours of sleep last night. Let's go. Let's move to truck of furniture.
Yeah, and you have more energy. Like I think I have a lot of energy, and then I met you, and I'm like, okay, I don't even have near that amount of energy. And I was like, I'm just, and then you were like, oh, I'll just pick this up, and I was thinking, okay, who needs to go to the gym when you have this business? I mean, you're like up down, flat down, whatever. I was like, oh my goodness, like you're just like amazing, and.
Well, we do a lot of lifting and carrying, and we kind of get ourselves in shape. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and one thing that really impresses me, Carrie, is how you will literally go in and transform a space, then you have to take it down, and sometimes literally only to go set up another space. Like you are always on the move with Gathered, always on the move.
Yep. Or we'll have 5 or 6 weddings or events to set up in one day, and we just go from one to the next. Or we have team A, team B, and team C going 3 different directions. Somebody might be going 3 hours out of town with their truck and 2 here in town or whatever. So we kind of go all over. It's take it down, set it up, go back and take it down. And then the next morning, maybe even we have to unload that truck and reload it so we can get out to the next one. So we found that being incredibly, insanely organized is absolutely key to surviving this
Yes, absolutely.
because things are going so many different directions all the time, and they need to be clean and beautiful and in good shape and ready to go out again as soon as they come back in the door. So
Yeah. So talk to me about how do you clean all this stuff? I mean, you've got these nice velvet couches and these nice, beautiful chairs. Is this something like literally every time you bring stuff in, you have to clean everything?
To a degree, things have to be cleaned every time. They don't necessarily need a deep cleaning every time. It seems like it would be common to have, like I'm sure you get wine spilled on it every single event, and food smushed in there, and like that's definitely the case sometimes, and some are worse than others. So luckily that's a handful of times out of a summer, and usually it's just kind of a spot clean or vacuum it out and it's good to go. Lift up the cushions, make sure there's no crumblies underneath or whatever. It is interesting though what we find in the furniture sometimes. Like
I don't know if we want to know.
was sitting here and there's like little pink gooey candies shoved down, like, oh, wasn't supposed to have that, hiding it from my mom. I'll just stick it down here in the cushions, like ooh.
Yeah, my brain was going to the X-rated version of what you found. Let's not talk. This is a G-rated. This is a G-rated program, but I'm quite certain you found the X-rated version. You must have a good chuckle. You could do one of those blooper shows about all the things we found under the couch at Gathered. People are clearly gathering.
That's right. Anytime you have people in a space together, you just never know. All things happen.
Exactly. And what stays on the couch what happened on the couch stays on the couch.
Event goes across the country and across the world. We could all just gather and have the same conversations. I'm sure that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sure. I'm so sure. Now, one of the things that I thought was so cool that you have is you actually have these photo booths, and you had Herbie. Herbie's now retired, correct?
Herbie is retired. Yes, his arthritis.
And now we have Olive. Is it Olive?
Now it's Olive. Yes,
Olive has talk to us about this photo booth. I just think this is so cool.
Yeah. Well, again, my husband Scott and I are always on the hunt for something new, something that hasn't been done in Fargo, Moorhead before. That is we've seen somewhere else or had this idea, whatever. So we thought it would be really fun. We kept getting asked for photo booth experiences from potential renters. And we'd say, yeah, we've got like this cool backdrop and this cool backdrop, or you could use this couch and do this fun thing. And they're like, okay, great. Do you have the photo equipment too? No, I don't rent out cameras. I rent out couches, like that stuff.
The other C.
So we kept hearing over and over that, okay, we need the equipment, we need the photo thing. And I was like, all right, fine. We've heard it enough times. So seems we need to add something to our collection for that. But I didn't want to do just your typical, I didn't want to do it in a normal way because that would be boring. So thought, how can we do this in a fun way? And we thought, okay, let's revamp a vintage camper, because that sounds like a fun project. So we went and got this tiny little vintage camper and gutted it. And that was actually not a really fun process. That was kind of a gross process. Not sure I want to do that again. But so we turned it into this really cute little photo booth that you go inside, sit in the camper, all the photo equipment is built in, and have your little photo experience. We thought, okay, that's really fun. And he operated Herbie. All of my pieces have their personalities, and they're my people.
Yes, they are.
About them as if they're people. So Herbie was great fun, but he was an old camper. And just, he had gone out so much that it was like, okay, Herbie is getting towards the end of his life. And he announced to us in pretty specific terms in January that he was done. And it was either take him apart entirely, or and like completely rebuild him, or move on to something new. I just have to press a button here.
No problem.
Trying to make sure that my thing is actually plugged in here. There we go. I got a little unplugged. Okay, so we thought, okay, it's an opportunity to do something new, and we're kind of moving our whole collection more and more modern over the past few years. We started out very vintage and rustic because that's what was exciting when we first started our business, but now we're moving more and more modern. So we thought, perfect. Herbie is out, and we're going to move on to something more modern and chic. So now we have this little black trailer, this tiny little trailer that we turned into our new photo booth. And actually, that trailer we had already rebuilt once during COVID as our little bistro experience. So when we couldn't have great big parties, we created this little tiny private dinner experience that we could pull up wherever you wanted it to be, and we would deliver you dinner and have this really fun thing. So, but now that we aren't in quarantine anymore, we decided, okay, now it's our new photo booth. So we can actually, I say tiny trailer, but we have gotten, I think, 14 people in there all at once. So we can still fit a good number of people, and that's pretty fun. So that's, again, photo equipment's all built in. It prints out the photo strips, and we can send a digital copy of the photo strip and all of that stuff. So Olive is great fun.
Oh my gosh, I love this. And so are there people that may just rent out Olive, not even other stuff? So even if people aren't doing a full big event, it's something people might bring to even a farmer's market or
any
event, really.
Just like everything in our collection is a la carte. So you can rent one sofa from us, or you can rent 5 plates from us, or something like that, or you can rent just the photo booth. We always think it's fun when people do a photo booth and a little lounge grouping to sit right outside of the photo booth, because the photo booth always is a place where people congregate, right? So they're standing in line and waiting and having fun, and then they get in and they're like, oh, that was great, let's do it again, and then so they get back in line. So it's just, people are just kind of congregating and hanging out by the photo booth. So that's always really fun. If you put a little seating area around right by the booth, it's like, yep, just embrace that this is where people are going to hang out, and make it comfy and pretty for them. And
I love this. It just sounds like so much fun. It just sounds like just
little rentals.
Thing.
Great big. We can fill 2 tents. We had a wedding last summer that will be one of my favorite weddings forever. It was absolutely phenomenal. They had 2 beautiful canvas tents and wood floors and everything out in the middle of this giant field on their family land. And they were not small tents. They were enormous tents. And they're like, we just need to fill it and make it cozy and comfy. And I think we had 14 lounge groups in there, and tables and table decor, and bar backs, and it was incredible. So we can do a whole lot, or we can just give you that one pretty couch that you want.
Well, and that's what I love about what you do, Carrie, is you're so there with people. It's like, what do you want? Let's get what you want here. And
Right.
that's what I love about the what you do. So obviously that was one of your favorite events to do. Any others that just really stick out to you as, oh my gosh, this one was just like amazing.
We did a really fun, it was sort of like a groom's dinner, sort of like a bachelorette party, all in one. It was the wedding party of this, for this wedding, got together at her family's lake cabin, or lake home, the night before the wedding. And they had this beautiful lakeside dinner down on the beach right next to the water. And we set up our big harvest tables and chairs, and then lanterns all around the base of the tables, and cafe lights draped across the table. And it was just magical, right? Of course, we timed it perfectly for sunset, and they were there into the, it was so magical. I was just wanted to be a little fly on the wall, to be like, oh, I just want to see this. Like, it's so cool. Can I come? Can I come to dinner?
Oh, it sounds amazing. I mean, it just sounds like super amazing. You alluded a little bit to the pandemic when you talked about how you actually did these dinners and these bistro concepts. What else during the pandemic? I'm just curious, like, how were you continually shifting and creating? Because obviously you are used to doing these huge events. Well, that was not taking place during the pandemic at all.
No, it was terrifying at the beginning, of course, as it was for everybody. But events basically just completely stopped. And it was right at the beginning of when our busy season would normally start. So instead of being busy delivering and doing all the things we had spent all winter planning, then it was virtual meeting after virtual meeting, replanning and changing. And sometimes the replanning went 4 or 5 times into different concepts. Now we're going to do it this way. Okay, now we're going to do it this way. Okay, let's do it. And really, it was just supporting our renters and our brides, knowing that as panicked as we were, they were even more panicked. So just like, we are here for you. What do you need? And we found that it actually, we didn't have to panic too much, because we found people really, suddenly we were even more necessary than we had been even before the panic, or the pandemic. The panic. Well, that's a good thing.
It's kind of both.
It goes together. But we found that people were transitioning from those big giant weddings at the big giant venue to now they're doing a little intimate thing in their backyard or at their lake cabin, or at the farm in their shop building or something. And it was, again, we need to transform this space that is not a venue into our venue, basically, whatever that can be. And so it worked out really well for us that way, that we could supply them with what they needed to create something magical in their backyard or in the shop building of the family farm. Like, let's make this into something magical. And so that was actually really great, that we could help in that way. And suddenly we were very necessary in that moment to help create those magic moments for people. So,
well, and how amazing that you could bring this beauty and, like you said, make the magic happen for people at a time when people were just like, what is happening? What's going on? And for events that are so important in our lives. And that's one thing that I feel like, even though the pandemic was so rough on so many levels, there were those moments that still became magical. We found it in a different way. I think it's one thing that we found in a different way. And just, I'm glad that you were able to be there and be a part of people's lives and bringing the hope, like, okay, we can still do this. And we can still make it beautiful for you. And actually, in some ways, maybe it'll be a different beauty, right?
Right. And I think that actually that concept of the micro wedding got real popular during the pandemic, of course, but I think that concept is going to live on, now, even beyond pandemic times. And I think that's actually really, really great. I loved those micro weddings. I loved them so much because they were so much more intimate. You were going to be able to talk to everybody at your wedding. It wasn't like you had 600 people and you would maybe talk to a fourth of them or something,
Yeah.
like you were connecting, real connection time with every single person there. And it just was such a special moment that I just love those events actually.
Yeah. No, I can tell. I can tell it's a passion place for you for sure.
Yeah.
Talk to me about being an entrepreneur. Like everybody makes up what they think it is, but what have you learned as an entrepreneur? How are the ways it helps you grow as a person? Like just kind of give us a little bit of that picture.
Sure. Well, it's not something I ever would have dreamed I would become someday. I'm not sure that I knew that if I really had it in me to do. So it's been just a lot of amazing personal growth and opportunity to explore what I am capable of. Because it was all 100% dependent on me doing whatever needed to be done in order to make it survive and become something. So, we were creating, it's kind of the story of my business life is making something out of nothing. That's what we do now. And that's what it was from the very beginning. There was no such thing. There was no guidebook as to how to start a boutique rental company because the industry was only 2 years old. There were only a handful of people doing it. So there weren't really even any companies that we could really look to, like we couldn't say, oh yes, this is how you do that type of business and ready, set, go. We had to make it all up as we went. So it was a long learning curve of how to do this. Also finding something brave inside of myself, finding that ability to strike out. I'm a very introverted person. So getting myself to go out there and talk to people and meet people and say, hey, this is what I do. And this is why I think you should hire me,
Yeah.
Create an entirely new business from this person who is not super comfortable talking to people.
Well, you're doing great. You're doing great here. I mean, I just like saying. So I'm kind of curious about what's next for you because we know that entrepreneurs we're always like, right, I'm like that. Like we're just always like, okay, what's going on? What else is out there? Talk to me about what that is for you.
Honestly, that's been a struggle for me is the constant distracted nature of, oh, okay, yep. So I had that idea. I've been doing that. And, that's fine. Okay. But, I have another idea. And what if we do? Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, this needs attention still. All right, fine. Yeah, do that. And then, oh, there's another idea, it's like just kind of popcorn all the time. And so, staying focused is a challenge, I think, for entrepreneurs in general. We are idea people. So I think Gathered, we have some very big plans for Gathered. This is going to be a big year. We just had our 10-year anniversary of our business, which was very exciting. And then this week is exciting too, because I actually just hired my husband to work as Gathered's COO full time. So he's going to be coming in and helping with some plans that we've had and ideas we've had for Gathered for a long time. And now, like, okay, great, we're going to do that and tackle that. But there are still these extra magical ideas that are kind of been percolating in the back of our minds for several years now that we think it might be time to move ahead with those plans. So there's always something new in the background. Scott's very much like me, always coming up with new ideas and, hey, what if we did? And so we always say that that's our conversation starter is, what if? Yes. What if we did do that? So, and I for the last year, I've really been struggling with, but this is the original idea. I should stick it. We really shouldn't get distracted. We need to stay focused and whatever. And then attended a seminar back in March, and one of the speakers was Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth. And it was so interesting to listen to him chat. But one of the things he said was, entrepreneur, just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean, or just because you had this idea doesn't mean it's a life sentence. You don't have to stick with that forever. You get another idea, do it. Do what you want to do. You don't have to stick with it or do the same thing in the same way forever. So that was kind of exactly what I needed to hear, that one idea doesn't, even if it's a great idea, doesn't mean it has to be a life sentence. So
I love that. I'm really glad you brought that into this conversation, because I'm sure that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that'll be viewing this, and because we're entrepreneurs, like we always have that, but it's like, oh, but wait a minute, that was my first idea, or that was my baby, and what do I want to do with that? And I think that's just something for us to really be, aware of and paying attention to. So what I'm hearing you say is more to come.
Yes, more to come.
More to come. I love that.
Very exciting year.
Well, Carrie, the time has just flown by for our special series today. See, isn't it amazing? It feels like you've only been here 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe 5. Look at that.
It's so fun.
It has been so fun. And of course, you make everything you do fun. And even when you're out lugging that furniture and hauling it and being the furniture mover, I feel like you need this thing with like this hat that you moved up. Okay, furniture mover, designer, creator, new business. I mean, it's like, right? That should be your hat for sure, for sure. One last thing is, we probably need to let people know how to get in touch with you, because I have a feeling they're going to be like, I need to know more about Gathered. I need to talk to this woman like right now, pronto. How should they find you?
Well, our website is gatheredboutiquerentalsandevents.com. And then we have a little warehouse here in the Moorhead Industrial Park, actually, which sort of feels like totally the middle of nowhere. But it's just perfect spot for us. And our warehouse is by appointment only. But just because we're a small crew, we don't want to have people show up and like we're gone setting up a wedding or setting up something, or I'm out buying more furniture, because that's what I do. So we just have people call or hop on the website. You can actually make a wish list right from our website, which is super awesome. It's super helpful for people. I'll say most of what we have in our collection is there on the website, because I keep adding things faster than I can really get them up on the website. So you can make a wish list and like heart all of the awesome things that you love and send that right into us. And then we send that back to you and say, yes, all of that is available, or whoops, that one was booked, but what about this one? Do you like that one? And then get you in for a tour of our warehouse, which is really the best way to see what it is that we have and what we do, see it, touch it, sit on it, fall in love with it, all of that stuff. So
oh my gosh, I love it. Love, 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 love. So yes, definitely check them out. Carrie, thanks again for being with us today. Thanks for infusing our lives with some joy today. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
Oh, it's been great. And we want to thank all of you for choosing to tune in today. It was just awesome to have you as well. We hope that you learned a few things, and I hope that you check out Gathered as well, because if you're like me, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many amazing things there. And Carrie and her team just do a phenomenal job. We'll be back again next week for your special Summer Infusion of Joy series. Our special guest next week is going to be Laurel Ote. And trust me, you do not want to miss that one either, because there's always something amazing to be had when we infuse your lives with joy. This is Deb McGregor reminding you to live, share, and lead with joy. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.